We've just been joined by Kwejo Wuswefrie, who is exceptionally late. Sir John.
Is that so?
Oh, Sir John, the program starts at 6:30.
Oh, right.
It's 15 minutes to 8.
Oh, well.
You're fashionably late.
Well, I regret that I could not, be here on time.
That's okay.
I left for my village. I've forgotten the culture in Accra. And when I got here, this morning, I was met with this huge traffic, and right. I think I had completely forgotten about, that.
How long were you in your village, by the way?
Some 2 weeks.
And you completely forgot about
the
traffic in Accra. That's very interesting. Anyway, just for your information, we understand the report of the Jamaica Commission was delivered to the Assembly Press last week. Well, we're talking about...
Yes, I was going to come to that. So, we're talking about the Gazette.
Yeah.
And so... wherein lies
so you think that
the law lecturer's criticism? That is why I asked.
Unfounded?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And he should apologize for
people have gone to Assembly Press. There's no report. There's nothing there. I mean, this is typical of this government. I remember very well.
Dear. Where did this just come from?
It is. You see, so let us be fair to the issues. You don't issue a white paper when there's no report that people could compare. Certainly what is there and what is in the white paper. White paper appears to be a summary of what is there and what you have accepted and what you have not accepted. But people reserve the right to know what the recommendations were in the full report, and then whether or not government accepted those recommendations or government accepted some and rejected others. Of course, it is in the bosom of the government so to do. But if we don't have a full report that people could refer to, I believe that my good friend here has not even read the report, because there's no such report. We have been told it is at the Assembly Press. There's nothing at the Assembly Press.
There's nothing. Yes. Have you gone to verify?
So people have gone there.
No, but have you yourself done that job? No, you haven't. But you're listening to hearsays.
Can you, in all honesty, tell me whether or not anybody sitting here have had a clue as to whether or not this is a report? I'm sure
I have seen the report.
I'm sure if you had the report, it will be here.
I have seen the report. In fact, if I knew that the report was going to be a subject of discussion, I would have brought it to the studio.
You were discussing this with some panelists over there, and I watched that, and none of those persons appeared to have even had a clue as to what was contained in the report. And so, what government did, which was mischievous, is the fact that the government tried to bury the bad news with some good news. The bad news was that when the whole country was engulfed in this crisis, that several persons had died, and then coming in the wake of the MPP primaries, then the government decided, let us bury this bad news with this, so that people's attention will be hooked and drawn to the primaries that the MPP was having, so that people will not even be, have time to look at. But that is politics. You don't understand politics.
Okay, let him land. I'll give you the chance. I mean, if you say that's not his fault. You just didn't show up.
But I'm saying that, you see, in politics, people do that. I remember when Princess Diana died, and the Labour government had some policy that was not very good. What they did was to release a report around the period when people were mourning. And so when it came, but when was it released? It was released on this date. That is exactly what the communicators of this government did, by bringing a report where they realized that people would tear them to shreds, especially its ministers who had flown money from here, becoming a public ridicule, the whole world.
The subject is being discussed. It's not as if that the entire country or the media has brushed it under a carpet. It is being discussed. If indeed that was the thought of the communicators, then they have failed. If what they say is anything to go by.
You put it better. That they have failed big time.
I'm not saying that if what you're saying is anything to go by.
It is. I tell you, I'm a politician. Look, that is what the government did by burying that bad news, under this umbrella of what was happening around the NPP. And I tell you, everybody's interest was in our primaries, and only then for people to hear that, oh, the report has been released, and not even the report, a white paper. And then people then went on to, where is the paper itself? It's not there.
So
and you don't blame the lecturer.
In essence, you're saying that it was a deliberate attempt.
Oh, it was. I'm a politician. I could understand the communicators. Let us bring the report at the time that people's minds are not there. That people are more interested.
People's minds are not where? I'll let you come in here. When you say people's minds are not there,
first of all, it is important to note that Sir John, as he sits here, he's a lawyer. Mm-hmm. He has no evidence that people went to the assembly press.
Oh, I have.
And could not
find. Would he speak in a vacuum?
Find the report.
I have.
The evidence he has here is hearsay. He's saying some people went there. As a legal practitioner, I would have thought that Sir John himself would take the pains by walking to the assembly press to do a simple exercise.
Have you have the report? You don't have it.
I have it.
What is it?
Oh, Sir John, if I knew this was going to be a subject for discussion, I would have brought the report to the studio.
It's easy for you to say. You don't.
Secondly, Sir John appears to be very well experienced in the matters that have to do with burying reports and releasing them when we have national crisis on our hands. He's been the immediate past general secretary of the MPP. I want to ask him a simple question. Whether Sir John buried several reports when President Kufuor was in office, and that is why he's well experienced in those matters. No, we don't do that.
I have given you an example.
We do not do that.
Of one of the best
traditions
in the world.
Let us not mislead our cherished viewers. It is very misleading to create the impression that we buried the report and decided to release it at the time when we have national issues to contend with.
Which is why
there's no iota of truth in those assertions.
The assembly press, look, there's
you have a search to that effect
in the day.
But you have a search to that effect? No, it's easy to verify. We can just call up the.
I am saying I have it. If you want it, I can furnish you with a copy.
Who gave it to you?
It's a matter of public record.
Okay. It is not there.
It was lodged at the assembly press and has become a public document.
Verified it yourself, because I believe it's verifiable.
Oh, it is.
It is verifiable.
I can understand. But you see, I've told you, you spoke with some seasoned young people here on your show who all confirmed that they had not seen the report. I've had contact listening to those guys.
The report will not be sent door to door. If you're interested in the report,
are not sent
you have to make an effort to find the report, right?
Don't let us go down.
No, we are not going. I'm just saying.
Reports are not sent to people door to door. When the report is published, people could have access to. And when paper is issued, people do not have what it takes to compare what the government is saying with what the report itself says. Because look, the fact that there's a white paper could mean that government took some, rejected others, which is its prerogative, and I don't doubt that. But let us look at what the recommendations were in that big book.
Do you understand that?
We could look at it.
If you look at the white paper, you would see.
I'm not interested in the white paper.
He's interested in the report itself.
And I'm saying that the report is a public record.
What is
the extent that it was lodged with the assembly press? If my good friend Sir John really wants to
what government does
see a copy of the report, he should go to the assembly press.
I'm not sure you understand it. The government sends its document to the assembly press for it to be published, because that is the
government's publisher.
That's right. And then after that, the report comes to some of us.
Yeah.
I cannot go to assembly press and tell them, give me what the government brought to you to publish. But I want to see that
when reports are published in the Gazette, you can walk to the assembly press and buy copies.
What is the report?
It's a public record.
What is the report? So don't look. The problem you have is you think that at all times material, governments must be defended. But you are part of the government. Don't defend when it is very difficult for you to do so.
John.
Look, the government has not done very well with the people of this country. They have not treated us with respect. And I think that we are interested in seeing the report. And the report will come. Ultimately, it will come.
Yeah.
And then we will look at whether or not government accepted the recommendations there, or government varied them, and government wanted to make a scapegoat of the GFA people and not interested in its own ministers. We will see.
So you think that some ministers, some people in the government are being.
But all the discussion is centering around.
No, Mr. Elvis Epuye Uncle's name has come up as well.
No, it has not. He issued a statement. Because of the fact that initially everybody is talking about the GFA. But people are not even talking about the others. And that is what the government wanted to do.
Simple question. Sir John, have you read the white paper?
Ask John Mahama.
No, have you read white paper?
Have you?
Look, I'm not interested.
I'm not interested.
He has not even read the white paper.
I'm not interested. I want to read.
How can you criticize a document when you haven't even read it?
Look, I'm not criticizing a white paper. I am saying that.
Very mischievous. You haven't even read the white paper.
Yesterday,
and yet you are full of criticism.
Yesterday, when you slept with the word mischievous. So I can understand why you are, pushing. But the fact of the matter is this: that let us have the benefit of that report itself. Once we read the report, then we can look at the white paper and then to see why the government accepted the things that they said they have accepted, or why the government rejected some of the things that they have said that they rejected. But it is important that Ghanaians have the benefit of the full report. It is important, and I think it is in your interest that we should have the full report.
The report is available.
Oh, please.
I'm saying that Sir John's mind is made up, and I think
I'm not a sports
argument.
I'm not a sportsman,
but
Sir I am interested in
Sir John
understanding why monies were carried from Ghana,
in fact,
in the manner that it was done, and for us as a Ghanaian to become a public ridicule.
If you look at the report,
where people were going to have,
you would come to the realization that in fact that was not the first time money was carried out of this country for the payment of bonuses to players. That was not the first time.
That was the first time that
the first time we appeared. It happened. The second time it happened, and it happened the third time.
Whole world
under your watch as well.
Laughing at
under your watch as well.
Please.
We sent money to
yes
to
through the same medium. Through the same medium.
So it was right.
All these things came to light.
So it was right.
I'm only suggesting to you that these things happened under your watch as well.
But this was embarrassing.
So you don't sit in the studio and talk as if
this was embarrassing.
It was a novel situation.
Whether it's been done
and
before
Hollywood,
or not,
you don't justify it.
And Hollywood,
whether it's been done before
you don't justify it. But you see, Sir John sits in the studio
relax.
And argues as if these things happened for the first time. It is because we do not approve of what happened. That is why the commission was set up in the first place.
I cannot wait for the Hollywood film about Ghana and somebody playing John Dramani Mahama in that film. I cannot wait.
Where did this one come from? This is quite unnecessary.
But the president himself
discerning listeners
that is waiting for the Hollywood film about that.
And did he say that he's waiting for somebody to pay him money in the movie?
No, not pay him, but play his role.
To play his role.
Play the role that he did when he authorized that money be sent from here, cash.
Sir John. Really?
You see, we are talking to discerning listeners.
Forget about that. Look, my brother, and viewers. You are being condescending.
And the discerning listeners and viewers, they know.
They know where you are coming from.
That
let's go to other matters. We'll go to other matters. A nurse in Sunyai wants abortion legalized. Fortunately, both of you are lawyers.
But have you looked at the NPP?
Yes, you are not here. But we'll go back to it.
Oh.
Since you're here, I would want you to comment on
for abortion.
After abortion, why? What's wrong with abortion?
Those of us who are, born again, some of these things.
So Jen is born again.
Yes.
Yeah. Bless you. Okay. So we shouldn't comment on this one. I would want us to look at it. She said legalizing abortion would reduce the incidence of pregnant girls patronizing quack doctors and taking concoctions in their attempt to abort pregnancies. Does that make sense?
Well, I have my own views. First of all, as a Catholic, I believe that abortion should not be legalized. But if you look at our criminal and other offences, the Criminal and Other Offences Act, the only time abortion can be said to be legal is when the life of the one who is pregnant is in danger, that you can contemplate having abortion to save the life of that particular person. And for me, I think that the law is very clear and it should remain as such. we do not create life. And so we must not do anything to, as it were, hinder, procreation. That is a philosophy I believe in. And so, well, the nurse may have her own views as a professional, but for me, given where I am coming from, and secondly, as a lawyer, I believe we have provisions who takes care of those who genuinely need to undergo abortion, etc. So we should leave our laws to remain the way they are.
Okay, Sir John refuses to talk about this one.
Well, no, not necessarily. But the arguments that have always been proffered as to the reasons why abortion should be legalized are all sound. And I have no doubt at all in my mind about some of the, things that young people go through. Not only young, women, but even adults. Some adults who, get pregnant and who are sometimes even married would wish that, this was unplanned and therefore I don't want it to remain there. But the point that was being made, for which I associate myself with, is the fact that any time that you criminalize something like, when cigarettes, first initially began, people had said that it was unlawful for you to smoke cigarettes and so. So a lot of people were imprisoned as a result of that. But it did not stop people from taking it. It's like marijuana. People continue to take it, which is why in some jurisdictions, Holland and some areas in the US and the UK, some areas are being looked at to see whether or not they could, experiment to see whether or not we should allow people to take it. So is abortion. When young people could, get some bottles and mash it and then to take it with some concoction and thereby endangering their lives, all because they are afraid to go to hospitals, for the doctor to report them to the police, and for the police to do this and to do that. So, especially in our villages, these things are there. And so I think that the country should look at the arguments again and then to see whether or not it is important. As for my brother, the Catholic, and some Catholics, even using condoms, they are opposed to it. They don't use condoms because they feel that if you don't want it, then don't even go there at all. But because people suddenly go there, that is why that condom advert is all over. Sometimes you hear some of them, you might think that it is some toffee that people are going to take, but at the end you end up by saying it's condom. So I believe Catholics have their own reasons why not. But the AIDS aspect and others, I think that the rest of us have come to buy into the argument that we must use it. I believe that by and by, the Catholics' position on abortion would reduce because of the incidence of high incidence of death, amongst young people. But let the argument begin, and I believe that we may change the position. Okay. Now doctors can do it if, like my brother said, if the life of the woman is in danger or in this and that. So I think that's a limited aspect of it that the law recognizes. So let us see whether or not we can go the full hog.
Okay, Sir John. As we move on to the next topic, if you can just take your phone off vibration.
My phone is on vibration.
Yes, Sir John, I'm sure you're fully aware of that. It's been disturbing. Banks have tightened further credit to private sector enterprises and consumers as more loans are going bad, reflecting challenges in the economy, the Bank of Ghana has reported. Well, the story is on page 3 of the Business and Financial Times. Sir John, we have just about a few minutes to wrap up, so I'll give you the chance to talk about the NPP as you wanted to. I
don't know what my brother said about it, but on the NPP premise,
I can recap.
Yes,
on the NPP
briefly. Let him recap for you.
Was
briefly.
he happy?
Yeah.
Was he happy?
He was happy for you. He congratulated you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he should be doing. And, but I think that the NDC, I believe, will be learning serious lessons from the losses that we have seen over the period. Some of their MPs have been there for a very, very long time, and I believe that their constituents are watching, and waiting. So they should be worried about what's happened. But by and large, I would urge the New Patriotic Party delegates, the constituents, that what I have seen from the analysis is that it's going to be very difficult even for us to come together as a party. And so I urge the national leadership to quickly organize, a program to reconcile the party, together. Some places where you add the person who won, say he got 191 at Kwadaso, but if you add the number of persons who did not vote for that individual, you begin to see that the person would have won with, say, 40%, and there's a 60% delegate who did not, whose choice was not for that particular candidate. And therefore, you need the person who won ought to ensure that you embrace all the others quickly. But to do so is not going to be easy, especially in the way that campaigns were carried along. And so I urge the regional parties, the national parties, to quickly go out there and bring all of them together and speak to them in a manner that people's anger will be assuaged. Otherwise, it may be carried over, and once it is carried over, we are poorer for it.
Because some of your MPs who lost are not, of course, they wouldn't be happy that they lost the election, but their utterances haven't been. I was listening to one yesterday on radio. I can't remember who exactly. And he said, "I will teach them a lesson."
But I mean, these are expected, especially coming in the very early days of the primaries. I've only seen one person who was not bitter after he lost a major election, and that is Sir John. Whoever he is, because he came to understand that elections are not a matter of life and death. And I would urge others to emulate that shining.
That was funny.
Because you see, it's not a matter of life and death. And therefore, yes, you have been given an opportunity to serve your party at that level. And if those who gave you that opportunity now say thank you for having served either a 2-year term or a 1 term, but we want to offload you and give it to another colleague of yours. I think that it is all well and good, but why people get angry and mad is the fact that the antecedents, the things that we say during the primaries, maybe calling people names, calling say that thieves, this and that, he has not done anything, he has not done this, he has not done that. When the person incumbent brings a whole range of things that he has done, and then other factors play into it, and then he loses, of course the person gets a little bitter. But give them 1 week, give them 2 weeks, it will assuage. But the supporters are where the problem is. Their supporters would never, it takes a very long time. It's a cooling off period. Some take one week to cool down, others take 1 month, others take 6 months. But it is the party, and I urge Governor Japan, the General Secretary of my party, Paul Afoko, to quickly organize, a steering committee meeting where they will draw out a program to go from constituency to constituency.
They don't have access to the national.
But the just said the General Secretary was in the office yesterday.
They do. I mean, obviously, this job, I was most of the time hooked in my office at the headquarters, but most of the decisions that we take are not taken in the office. So wherever you are, I believe that my General Secretary is doing a very good job, even in his house or wherever his office is.
But
that
is why the party has a headquarters.
The headquarters does not necessarily mean that we must be glued to the headquarters at all times.
Has he been excluded from having access to the headquarters?
Nobody can exclude my General Secretary from having access. He decides where he wants to operate from time to time, and I'm happy that so far Kwabena is operating
Sir John,
from
the headquarters was invaded by the invisible forces. Have you disbanded the invisible forces?
You cannot disband anything. You cannot put anybody out. These are our security at our party headquarters, and they play a very, very good role for us. And I'm happy for the job.
They haven't stopped the chairman from accessing.
No. Nobody can stop Chairman Afoko from going there.
Oh, so John, are you being an ostrich here?
No, I'm not. Because
I want you to be a giraffe.
Nana Akufo-Addo went there. He made a very brilliant statement, and the security people are happy to welcome Kwabena. And Kwabena has been there. So I'm very happy for him.
He's been there.
There is no problem for Kwabena using his office. Nobody can stop him apart from maybe himself.
There have been threats.
No threat.
It's come under a lot of threats.
No threat. I cannot see one.
In fact, the same invisible forces invaded the office with machetes, claps, cudgels,
they did not. You see,
and attempted to forcibly evict them.
You got it wrong. Somebody coming from outside, and some maybe NDC guys,
what are you thinking
as
now?
NPP, wanted to come and invade the office, and we want my security to stay with their hands tied at the back. My brother, we will not allow the NDC to take over our office.
So now, how is the NDC interested in your office? People claiming to be support of your party, who are not happy with certain decisions taken by your executives, go to your office, and now you're saying they're NDC men and women pretending to be.
Let me tell you, when Edward Rollins was going to contest males, the late males, and then Edward Rollins' supporters went to the NDC's party headquarters. They were chased out with cutlasses and machetes. I am a living witness to that. And so
you were in the office.
We are very close.
Yeah, very
close. No, we are not neighbors. So I saw it. Now they have had money, so they're going to build up a monumental edifice elsewhere. But those days when we were all renting, we were close, and I saw it. So, but in our case, we would not allow foreign invaders to invade the offices of the party headquarters. And so it is right that they will defend the property of our building, and that is what exactly they did.
The foreign invaders.
Some of the assailants were identified as card-bearing members of your party.
Nobody goes to party headquarters with his card in his pocket. Look, please,
these are the
mischief that we're talking about. But you see, nobody walks about with a card in his pocket to brandish and say, "Oh, I'm an NPP card-bearing member."
Sir John,
but I'm happy for
all
Kwabena.
these incidents.
Kwabena is doing a very good job, and Kwabena will continue to have access to his office as and when he deems to. Of course, the chairman is our chairman. And so they determine when, not at all times.
So, Sir John, let me ask you a question. When you say that, these people who attacked your office were NDC.
They were invaders.
The invaders, okay.
Yes.
These invaders were NDC supporters.
Yes.
The factions in your party, is it also being created by the NDC?
There are no factions in the party. Look, even during Paul's time, in the biblical times, there were people who were saying, I was baptized by Paul. Others were saying I was also by Apollo. And so there was confusion in the church as to who was who. Paul was called and said, look, whether it's Apollo or whether it is me, Paul, we have one God, one baptism, one Lord. And we in our party, and everywhere that you go, even in the church, you have that kind of division there. Even in the NDC, quite recently when they had their primaries, John Mahama supported Kofi Adams and others to get rid of Aboti Dan and Dr. Kabreje. If you are saying
is it right to say
stopping him from working. Kofi Adams is now taking over the job of a general secretary and the national
organizer. Okay, let me ask you a question then.
Let
me ask you a question. You are so confident when you speak about what President Mahama has supposedly done.
Because I know John.
He was so neutral. In the NDC
Congress. Go and ask John. Go and ask Kwabena. Go and ask.
Let me ask you a question.
This is the first time I'm hearing from Sir John that President Mahama supported Kofi Adams.
So he did.
One observer said
ask Kofi Adams where he got those cars from.
When observers sit back and say that all these NPP MPs who tumbled embarrassingly at the primaries were kicked out by allies of Nana Akufo-Addo. Do you agree?
How can Satan drive away Satan? Akufo-Addo driving people who are supposed to be Akufo-Addo's people. No, how could you say that?
You think that it's impossible, but you seem to think that it is possible for President Mahama to support and kick out certain people.
Let me tell you the reasons why.
Does that even
let me tell you the reasons why.
Any sense?
When Prof. Mills lived, he had these good supporters of his, when the host, the Sidicatiers and the others. And so when everybody knows of the story that John was ostracized. And so when John became the president, he decided to have a stamp on the party.
I didn't know he was ostracized.
Of course. So he decided to have his own in the party. So this was the opportunity for him to get executives who supported him so that he could go unopposed. And so he was interested. And I have no doubt at all in my mind that Kofi Adams' strength part of his strength, and the others all came from John. As opposed to a Sedin Ketia, look at the guy who contested Sedin Ketia. If you wrote his name down, he would not even recognize his own name. And look at the vote that he got, 666. And to teach Sedin Ketia some sense. Look, Elvis the Free Anchor was going to be made to contest Sedin Ketia. But because of the Brazilian...
John,
you have all this information.
John, did you lose because Akufo-Addo, the leader of your party, opposed to your candidature? Was that why you lost?
Question.
No.
You didn't lose because Akufo-Addo.
Because I am out and out Akufo-Addo. So if for nothing at all, maybe you could say that somebody else.
You are Akufo-Addo.
Yes.
I am.
So you acted unconstitutionally when you were in office. Because you were supposed to be neutral. No, he was supposed to be neutral because he, Sir John, was the general secretary of his party.
But if Akufo-Addo had painted his strength behind me, I can tell you no.
So why didn't he?
So why didn't he? Because
he didn't think you were good enough.
Sir John is saying that whilst in office as general secretary, he had acted unconstitutionally by openly supporting Nana Akufo-Addo. That is why we have a rift in the MPP today.
So the rift came as a result of Sir John.
Yes.
I think it predates
your open support for Nana
Akufo-Addo. Okay. But I'm happy for the party. I will urge Kobran on a serious note, Kobran and Paul, to quickly organize a tour, because during my time we did that, and then we went to all the 10 regions of Ghana to assuage people's tempers and then to call for calm and for the bigger interest of the party.
Let me ask you one quick question before we go for business.
Kobran will do that.
And I hope you will not be casing aspersions on his good name. Dr. Farijan bade farewell to his staff yesterday. Briefly, talk about the man, Dr. Farijan.
You see, I regret the latter days of Farijan. This is a man who had done so much for this country, but getting to the latter part of his tenure, he did not acquit himself very well.
How?
And he's going to go down in history as the West EC that we chairman that we have had. But let me tell you,
despite all the work this man has done for over a decade.
Let me give you examples. Clinton had done so well as a president for the U.S., but because of one indiscretion of this Monica Lewinsky's matter, anytime that you mention Clinton's name, the thing that comes to you is not about the achievements, the political achievements and the economic achievements, but Monica Lewinsky.
Because that is what you choose to think about.
That is what Afejan will go down in history as the West, EC chairman, who nearly brought this country to its knees. And I regret that for him. He's my uncle, but he did not acquit himself very well. And I'm sure he is not going to go home as a happy man. I'm sure about that.
Is it because he
declared President Mahama
president?
Wasn't he?
Which
declaration?
I started by stating that it is
so
not.
How did he change? When did he change and what happened?
No, I'm sure you were in this country and you heard the evidence in court and his own demeanor when he sat in the witness box. In some of the things, when it is shown to him, he will sigh. Because and because the buck stops with him, he was amazed how he could allow his people to behave the way that they did.
Okay, Sir
and
John,
I think that he will go down in history as one of the West. I regret.
Sir John, how did the verdict of the Supreme Court go?
It is unfortunate.
Sir John,
next time anybody who comes must work clearly.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sir John.
I regret for example.
You are so predictable. That's why I started by saying that you won't be casing us questions on this good name.
No, I did not. But this time I did not, did I?
Well, your description of him was
it's a history. But I gave you an example of Clinton.
When he's been described as a shining example by President Mahama.
Of course, why not? If you had been a beneficiary of that gigantic fraud, why wouldn't you be
Thank you very much, Sir John. Thank you very much, Honorable James Agalga, Deputy Minister for Interior and also Member of Parliament for Bilsa North. Sir John, you're a problem.